Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Prime Use series of interviews with top business and technology experts. Today, I'm delighted and honored to welcome Nora Jones, who is CEO and co-founder at Jeli. Nora, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to the show.
Thanks, Anna. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, Nora, you have a outstanding, career in technology. But for those listeners who don't know you or don't know your company, your startup company, Jeli, maybe you could give us a brief overview about your career steps that have led you to your current as a founder position, right? And about your company, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jeli.io is a full-fledged incident management platform. We cover everything from the incident response tooling to from when you have an incident to when you resolve an incident to when you diagnose with your customers and with your employees. So we're really like this full-fledged learning center, helping you get the most ROI out of an expensive investment that you've already made in your incidents. The reasons that led me here, I studied computer engineering in college. I've always been intensely interested in risk and safety. I do a lot of fun things on my own, like skiing and skydiving and all sorts of stuff. And I think I just started getting really into risk and safety, but also how we're thinking about it in technology. And what's, I think, really fascinating about those worlds is like risk and safety and accident analysis is very similar in every industry, from medicine to aviation to maritime. And we have a lot to learn from these industries that have been around for a really long time. So I worked in a few startups. I worked at Netflix. I worked at Slack. And I was always hired to kind of do the same thing, which was help folks learn from their incidents. I was in a startup called Jet.com, which was having like a ton of incidents every day at the time. They were also getting a lot of public presence. And when I joined Slack, it was a similar story. When technology companies are doing really well, they're in the media a lot, which ends up more people are using their platform, which is great for business, but it ends up being a stress on engineers and the product itself. And so more incidents end up happening. And some organizations lean into that chaos and make some really cool stuff from it, and some folks kind of treat it like an emergency and a really bad thing that happened. And so I've always just been intensely fascinated by that, and I was making various tooling at the organizations I was in, and I just learned that there was a big market for understanding your incidents a little bit more and having better tooling around it. So I built the tooling I had kind of always wished I had when I was in those situations.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And what you said, about that, this incident management domain, right? It's quite a crowded place. So there's lots of competition. So from your perspective, Nora, I would be, curious to know, like, what do you think that sets Jeli.io apart from the competition? What is your competitive edge comparing to the rest of the companies out there?
Yeah, I mean, and I will say there was some tooling that existed before I even started Jeli. And I went and started Jeli because I was not happy with the tooling that existed. And a lot of the tooling that has popped off since then has kind of been different flavors and shapes of the same thing, which is like they're selling you a process that you have to follow. And, it feels good when you have an incident and, things are on fire. It feels good to buy a tool that maybe claims that it's going to fix everything for you. But a lot of that is just, it's not real. It's snake oil. And it feels good for a specific period of time because you're following a process. You're maybe gaining a little bit of trust with each other. But a lot of these tools are not taking into account that they are creating more coordination costs for people in the moment resolving an incident. So now not only do you have people to keep track of, but you also have an entire tool to manage. And this tool has like all this bells and whistles and configurations on it. And then you need to train everyone on it. And it just doesn't make sense for people. Like it feels good. It emotionally feels like you're doing something. But you pop your heads up a year later and your incidents kind of look the same and maybe even a little bit worse. And so our tool really takes into account coordination costs, and we're really thinking about the responder. So we started post-incident. We didn't want to say, hey, here's this bot that you can just buy that's going to solve all of your problems. Like I think sometimes that's easier to sell, but I also think that, we're taking a really honest approach. Like you need to understand your incidents before you can create something like that. And so we're really helping companies get a full sense of what happened in their incidents in terms of who they communicated with, who they needed during an incident, whether or not they were on call, what time of day it was for folks, and using all that information to feed it back into that life cycle so that they respond better in the moment later. Now we have a bot as well. We have a incident response bot, but it's very geared towards helping the responder do what they do best, which is respond. We take care of all the like coordinative things for you, like spinning up a channel, showing you what stage your incident is in, things like that. But we give that incident response bot away for free. I think a lot of the folks in the crowded space that you mentioned are selling you a bot. And they're adding all these things to the bot because they're selling it, right? And so, but those things are not helping you at the end of the day. They're actually hurting you and adding more time to your resolution and more stress to your resolution. So we give that bot away completely for free. We have some customization abilities for it. And that's a little bit of what we're announcing today too, is like that bot will always be free for us. The real hard part is actually in understanding your incidents and learning from them, which is a part of our platform that you can buy.
Yeah, that's really exciting, about that free bot that you are giving away, right? And maybe you could specify what type of problems this bot can help companies solve, right? As you said, right, like companies, they keep investing in incident management tools and they still can see lots of these incidents happening. And what they do, they just spend huge budgets and incidents are still there.
Huge budgets, and it like feels like an answer to a situation, but it's not. It's just it's a feel good thing, and it's like a little bit of process theater is what I call it. Like you're like acting like you solved the thing, right, rather than actually solving it. So what our bot does is it allows you to keep folks aware of the situation. So I think a lot of when you have a big incident, other people need to know, engineering needs to know, your customers need to know, your leadership team needs to know, but the people that are responding to the incident don't have time to tell all these people everything, because they're just trying to stop the bleeding, right? And so, but those people still need to know, like the CEO needs to know if they need to tell their board, the sales folks need to know if they should do a demo when this incident is happening, the customer service folks need to know how to tell the customers when the incident is going to be done. And so what our bot does is it allows a lot of those summary updates. We have a broadcast channel where it's not the main channel where the incident's happening. It's just providing summary updates like, hey, here's how the incident's going. Here's how the impact is. Here's what the severity is right now. Here's what we're expecting soon. And it also sets the stage of the incident too. So we can show you if it's like mitigated, if it's being diagnosed, if it's being worked on and identified right now. And so it's giving everyone like a better view of the world, but also allowing the engineers to engineer and allowing the CS folks to CS and allowing people to do what they need to do best in that moment while still keeping in touch with each other. And so I think the real beauty of what we provide is this common vernacular that doesn't make it hard for the different groups to understand each other.
Wow, that sounds really exciting. And, many people would think, hey, but there is Slack. It's, like, why not use Slack channel, right? Why to have a Slack bot? So from your perspective, I know that you worked at Slack, right? You would probably know from ins and outs. So from your perspective, why Slack itself is not the best place to have this communication about the incident?
Yeah, Slack was not built for incidents. It wasn't built for this high touch emergency situation communication. It was built for keeping in touch with your coworkers. It was originally built as a chat app and a video game. And so it makes sense to me that it doesn't, like, I think the tech industry tries to fit it as best as it can to these needs. And, we don't even require that you stay on Slack, right? So we do have a Slack bot, but we also like understand that not all communication happens in Slack. We have stuff that sits on Zoom. We're just trying to help you with your coordination and communication too. And a lot of the folks in the competitive space today do require you stay on Slack and are trying to fit that like Slack into a very specific category that it's just not quite in. Slack is an amazing tool. I really enjoyed the company, and it's not a tool built for incidents. And so we help you get the most value out of it as you can. if you are staying in there. We're not prescriptive about where you have to be in an incident. We assume you know that best, and we just help you in that situation as best we can.
Yeah, that's really, like the providing value to the company. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very interesting. And I heard in the news that you are announcing a 15 million funding round. So
Yeah.
congratulations on that. And
Thank
that is a
you.
big milestone, right, for the company
Yeah.
and for you as a founder. So maybe you could tell us like what is it that keeps investors really excited, right, about your company and its future?
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. The team has been working so hard. It felt like a very natural evolution in where we're going. We've been kind of quiet for a while, and part of that was, we have a lot of folks on our team, which I think is unique as well, that have worked in incident management our entire careers. Like one of our solutions engineers led a lot of the incident command efforts at Twilio. I was leading a lot of the incident analysis at Slack and Netflix. We have Dr. Laura McGuire on our team that studied cost of coordination in software incidents for her PhD dissertation at several different companies throughout the tech industry. And so I bring all that up because there is a lot of integrity involved in our tooling too. And like, we want to make sure we're making the best product for the job, not just selling it everywhere to sell it. And I think at this point, we're very confident that it is a good product and it's actually helping companies and it's actually helping the people at those companies. And so raising money to kind of spread our product out further made total sense to us. And so yeah, it's a really exciting time. I think what keeps folks happy and excited about it is like we are seeing larger companies like Zendesk is one of our customers, Indeed is one of our customers, use Jeli to make sense of their growing businesses and growing organizations that people rely on for very important things in their life. Like when Zendesk goes down, people's customer service organizations at their companies, can't keep up. And so incidents are very important to them. And so understanding their own incidents is very important to them as well. Same with Indeed, if someone's applying for a job or in the midst of an interview, and their product goes down, it's not, it's like they understand how important those things are. And so I think, what we're seeing is those partnerships with those customers have been really, really valuable. And so we want to do more of that with a bunch of companies in the industry.
Yeah, Nora, you have done a great job, I must say. And you kind of preempted my next question. You mentioned the team that you have managed to build, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for many startups, their team is often is a kind of key point, right? Whether the company will succeed or not. So what type of people you want to bring to your company to have this innovation culture, right? To build that value that for the industry.
Yeah, I think one thing that is a common thread between everyone that I'm working with right now is they are passionate. They are so passionate either about the product as a whole or about a particular part of the product. And that shines through with everyone that's using the product. It's just like as soon as you see it on screen, it just becomes obvious the thought and care that was put into it. And I think that is just really amazing. I have the fortunate opportunity to work with a bunch of experts in their field. I have expert designers I'm working with, expert researchers, expert engineers, expert customer service folks. And so I think we all appreciate each other's expertise and we all understand it's very different. Like my expertise is very different from our designer's expertise, but we work together to really collaborate and make something that's better than either of us could have made in our particular tunnels. I think with a lot of startups, you see, just engineers for a while. And, I think it's great in building things fast, but I really do think it comes out in the product later on and it doesn't always end up being the best product because you're missing a diversity of thought, a diversity of experience. And so we really try to lean into that, which as we build and as we grow our organization with this fundraising, we'll continue leaning on and evolving.
Yeah, that's exciting. And you've been part of large organization and now you're founder of a startup. So what was the hardest lesson from day one starting a company?
Lesson from day one. I learned some of the lessons on day two. But no,
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I've learned a lot of lessons. I'm continuing to learn lessons every single day. I think a big mindset shift is I was working at a lot of big companies, like you mentioned. I worked at a few startups, but I was thinking about big company problems, right? And I was thinking about big company problems with regards to incidents. And I think as a company is growing and scaling, they are having incidents all the time. They're also having new employees come in all the time. And so you're in the middle of an emergency situation and you're meeting your coworker for the first time. You're not quite sure how to who to pull in anymore. And your system's just getting more and more complex. And so that was the problem I was thinking of as we were starting our company, but we were like four of us, in the beginning, right? And so we're building this tool for like massive scales. And so I think the tool we built at first was really appealing towards like the Zendesks of the world and the Indeeds of the world. But now we've made a tool that kind of appeals towards anyone that is just kind of getting started. You don't have to have an SRE at your organization to use Jeli. You can be a 10-person startup learning how to make sense of your incidents and knowing that you're not going to hire an SRE for 3 years, but you're still trying to get good at some of this operational stuff. We are helpful for that. So we use our own product every single day, which has been really helpful as well. I think one big thing is use your own product and not only use it, love it, right? And so we've really invested a lot of time in loving our own product too. I think another big learning is balance, balancing things out. We're very collaborative and very passionate, but just getting things done and understanding where it makes sense to just do the thing versus where it makes sense to think about the problem on a bigger scale. And I feel like we have a lot of really cool, innovative stuff that we've already done, like Narrative Builder, for example. That's something we're announcing right now. The Incident Response Bot and just the analysis platform as a whole have required a lot of thought put into it. But we also have a lot of features that I think, we just think people should have, like a lot of the incident response bot features, like we do just think people should have access to, and every company should have access to them. So yeah, it's been a lot of learning. And I'm sure I'll have more learning at the end of my day today too.
Yeah, definitely. And what is for me specifically, I would be keen to know there aren't so many women in technology and there aren't so many women founders, right? So
Yeah.
what would be the like what other maybe it's again the lessons, right? But for women out there who want to build their career in technology and to succeed, what would you kind of recommend, right? Or distill your experience into to share with the listeners, right? Female listeners who want to build their career in technology.
I think put yourself out there, like I think a lot of women in underrepresented groups start their careers and they're like, if I just do a good job, someone's going to notice and I'm going to keep getting promoted. I'm going to keep getting opportunities, but that might not be the case. Like you have to be loud about your work. You have to like write about the work that you've done. You have to share it out. And I think that is really, really helpful. And so I think, and other people are doing that. Other non-represented groups are doing that. So I think the advice I have to women is you are amazing, you're brilliant, and be loud about it. Don't be afraid, don't hide it.
I really love it. Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, I believe it's very, just recently I had the discussion with my friend from IBM and she said that she's like currently working on that companies should be paying more attention to, let's say, underrepresented, right,
Yeah,
groups in the companies. But
because they're
also,
less likely to be loud too,
yeah,
right?
but I think that your point is very strong that it's also our responsibility to raise our voices, right? To kind of make sure that they know what you have achieved, what value you have brought to the company. So that is a very good point, Nora.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And just, when you get an opportunity to do a thing or write a blog post or or go speak at a meetup, I would say just do it. You know, I think it's sometimes daunting and weird, but I also think that it is really, really helpful for careers. And you learn a lot about yourself through the process too. You learn about what you like, you become, I mean, I give this advice to everyone. Like, you think you're an expert in a topic until you write a book about it. And then you, then you learn all this stuff. Like I wrote 2 books on chaos engineering with some amazing folks. And like, by the second book, I thought I knew everything there was to know. And then I'm researching it and learning more about it as I'm developing the book. And so by doing that, you're investing in yourself and you're becoming a larger expert too.
Wow, I totally love it. What's the title of the book?
The second one I wrote was Chaos Engineering System Resiliency.
Okay.
And there's a lot of touch points in that book around the formations of Jeli too. So yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's exciting. I will make sure to share that kind of color.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. So, Nora, thank you so much for your time. I really, really enjoyed talking to you, having this discussion, and I hope to have you back on the show. I believe that the insight that you have shared, your experience, right, it will motivate a lot of women out there in technology. And I will be really curious to see where the future is for Jeli. I also thank you so much for your time. It's been a great pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you.